By this point, you have a vision, a plan, and a way to sell your project. Now you need to turn that thinking and planning into a reality. This section is all about team and time management. But let's start with yourself, the leader. Brilliant leaders can both lead a project and support it. You need to be able to set a vision and respond to new opportunities. But you also need to manage the day-to-day functioning of the team and make sure things run smoothly. Unlike common definitions of leadership that focus on power and status, we promote leadership that is other person-centred, not self-centred. It's about developing and empowering a team to achieve a common goal rather than climbing higher on the status chain ourselves. Remember that people want to be led. They don't want to be pushed. Understanding principles of personal leadership and brilliant management will enable you to be a leader in all situations. Your vision is your most powerful tool. The greatest leaders have always been amazing visionaries. Nelson Mandela, the Wright brothers, and Martin Luther King Jr. all held a vision which they used to build a different future. But why is vision so important for your team? For 3 reasons. It provides focus and direction. It increases team ownership. It amplifies team energy. Think about how you are going to bring your vision into the everyday work.
You yourself have to make sure you're passionate about what you do. If you make it clear that you know what you want and you want to see that change, then you can spread that sort of passion to other people. And I think you yourself need to make sure you have that.
If you yourself are inspired and you're passionate, that motivation comes across. I mean, it passes on to whoever's working with you. So if you're leading and if you're a leader in your own community program, then if you're passionate and if you're passionate enough, you can pretty much account for the motivation for like the rest of your team. So it kind of just, the energy passes on.
Be clear about what makes your vision unique. People will ask you, why should I partner with, volunteer with, donate to your idea over another? You should know these answers and be clear that the strength of your vision lies in its uniqueness. Integrity. Why do we consistently place importance on the integrity of leaders whom we follow? People who have real integrity are transparent to the point that they can withstand scrutiny from others. They are clear about their own values and beliefs. As a result, they can give an honest answer when called by others to account. This means that people with integrity don't pretend they have the answers to questions they have never even considered. We can guarantee that you will experience many moments in your own journey as a leader when you will feel like giving up. At these times, leaders must maintain commitment to what they believe in, despite the greatest adversity.
And what else is important is courage, because if you got an idea and you got no courage to implement it, it's for nothing.
There's a big difference between a group that you've brought together to do tasks for you and a team who are working effectively towards a common goal. When people have a sense of a bigger picture, a sense of connection to each other, and a sense of respect for you as their manager, they're able to operate as a team whose output is greater than the sum of its parts. From group to team. Bringing your team together regularly allows them to get to know each other and you, and fosters a much stronger sense of connection between team members. Sharing decision-making and ownership. The more you can involve your team when making decisions, the more ownership and commitment they're likely to feel toward what the team is doing. Involving people in decision-making works on a spectrum. The aim is to balance team ownership with efficiency. Depending on circumstances, you may decide to be more or less consultative. As a guide, the more people involved in the process, the more you may want to limit the amount of discussion. Alternatively, when fewer people are involved, it's much easier to make decisions as a group.
As much as we have a common vision for the project, each of us would like to see different things that happen, within the project. So I think that most of the time the decisions we have, we need at some point of some point within the group that you know that the final decision rests with this person. So I think that even though we might have our arguments and our discussions and things like that, there is a person that you trust that will be sort of the mediator within the group of the girls. So I mean, decisions aren't that difficult to take. It's just the process and the time limits that we have. So you'd have to give a little, take a little. That's really what's it mostly about.
Having a common vision of where the team is headed promotes a stronger commitment to achieving the team's goals. One unique piece of advice is to include your team earlier in the visioning process, as this is where the creativity and fun is, and it's where the overall vision will benefit most from diverse input.
The most difficult is because we've got 50-member team and each is different and each has different opinions, and the most difficult thing is to unify them, to make something common from that. So I think that's most important.
Many of your team members will have their own ideas about what your team should be doing. Encourage these and make a time at each meeting or at other regular points where people can discuss new ideas or how to improve things. This keeps motivation high and allows you to identify potential in your team.
As everything, you need innovation, you need creativity, you need new things, because if you repeat a routine every day and perhaps, I don't know, the first few days in which we were building the infrastructure of the library, mainly like putting on the, hammering the stands or bringing in computers and bringing in boxes in there, perhaps you get a little bit bored. But the thing is that if you carry different activities with the kids and you involve them in different workshops, then it's most enriching to work with the kids. And that is, I think, it's the main component and stimulus that involve people and continue with the project, getting to be engaged with the kids.
Now that you're working with a group of people, there are lots of things to consider. Just because communication skills are sometimes called soft skills doesn't mean they aren't sometimes very challenging. So it's the first meeting with your team. As you prepare to enter the room, a wave of questions wash over you. What are you supposed to do? What are your team members going to think of you? What are they supposed to do? What are you going to think of your team members? The following guidelines to expectation setting should help you answer these questions from the very start. Bring people together in person to discuss expectations, their role, and what's going on. Make sure that everyone has a shared vision of where the team is heading. Together, agree upon and be firm about general expectations in relation to issues like meeting attendance, reporting systems, and team communication. Have job descriptions to ensure that every individual understands your expectations. Clearly outline your own role to lead, manage, and facilitate to all team members, and make sure they understand when, how, and why communication will happen. And provide your team members with appropriate training and resources. Don't assume they know how to do things you ask of them. Ask them. Your team don't stay involved because they love meeting deadlines or reporting. They stay involved because they feel they are making a difference, that they are valued, and that they are getting something out of their hard work.
In my opinion, one of the most important things during such a project is to find the right people to work with. Because if you are not doing it with the right people, you are not being a team together, then you have no way to succeed. You have to trust each other, you have to rely on each other, and I believe that one of the most important things about our Read, Think and Share project is a successful project, is that we are the right people together. We do everything, we decide on everything as a team. Indeed, there are 100 university students, volunteer university students who run the project in Turkey, and we are the division of work and the definition of all the things that has to be done is really well defined and well coordinated.
It's vital to understand the people in your team. Volunteers are far more than their job descriptions and their outputs. They're passionate young people, and to care for them, you should want to engage them in understanding their skills, hopes and dreams. Find out what motivates them, what gets them out of bed in the morning, and what they want to achieve in their world. Spend some time getting to know your team as people. Have them round for dinner, go out for a drink with them, relax at the end of a meeting.
Uh, because we are young people, I didn't like do working sessions all the time. I mean, we are also having fun. I mean, it is the essence of making your own non-profit organization. Like you don't work, but you have fun, and still aware for the issues. And we also help art events because many Indonesian people love art. I think everybody loves art. So we help like acoustic sessions with a lot of bands who are supporting us.
While chatting, you'll find that volunteers have hugely diverse reasons for getting involved, from saving the world to professional development, being friends with the people you're working with, to feeling as though they're doing something important, and everything in between.
I think activists have to be a good friend for everyone, because if you're a good friend for everyone, people listen to you and you can listen to them. So exchanging ideas is the main thing in being an activist.
It's difficult to share with someone what makes you tick. So in order to care for your team, you need to create an environment in which caring is possible and appropriate. In order to do this, you need to create an atmosphere of trust.
The team building is really important, as Sanya said. It's really important. We get to know each other, and that's the most important thing. And trust to each other and believe in each other. And the final thing, I mean, we are trying to say that the members of the organizing team don't help just the people, just the students, but they help themselves, because they are not just teaching them, but they are learning from them.
Here are some hints on how to show people that you care through your day-to-day actions. Keep personal issues of people in mind when assessing their performance, and in particular, reasons for not performing. You don't and should not need to be people's counsellor, but you do need to care for those that you are leading and to show them that you care by listening. Keep in mind the potential for issues to arise between people in the team. Such issues need to be handled with great care and sensitivity, so as not to escalate the situation. You'll generally be working with volunteers. No matter how passionate they are, there are other higher priorities in their lives: family, friends, partners, study, work, or a myriad of other things. This is a fact of working with volunteers, so we need to be realistic in knowing how we fit in.
The biggest problem, as I see, is to motivate the people, the member of the organizing team, to do it for free, in their free time, just to help these students be better.
When someone in your team does something right, surprisingly well, or something positive that you wouldn't have thought of yourself, take time to let them know you're impressed. The best way to build a team, to build people's skills, and to get things done is to delegate tasks and jobs to your team members. When you're delegating a task, make sure you explain the context that led to this task, explain the purpose for the task so they understand why it is important. Give people a sense of what you're looking for, the quality and quantity of work expected. Explain the resources, including training, and other people available to help the person. Clarify the timeline for completion.
One thing that went wrong was that nobody wanted to do sponsorship. And for an event, for any type of event in the world, I think, sponsorship is the most important, because if you're not going to have money, you're not going to be able to run the event. So in the end, we decided to be a little bit autocratic in the decision process. It's not who is going to be going to get sponsorship, is that everybody is going as a group to get sponsorship, because it's intimidating to go, to knock on different businesses' doors and ask for donations such as food and cutlery. So in the end, we managed to all go as different groups. Okay, so I'm going to this street, I'm going to the market, I'm going to the mall. And because we split into groups, it turned out to be kind of like a fun day out and a relax from school.
If you accept a task yourself from another leader or one of your own team members, be realistic about what you can achieve and by when. Don't just say yes. If you are not going to make a deadline, then tell someone. Hiding isn't going to make it better. Most of us have learnt from our bosses or even our parents that criticising or insulting a team member in front of others is a huge no-no. We've got to make sure that we treat our team how we want to be treated ourselves. Take responsibility. One big surprise about being a manager is that you are no longer responsible for only your own mistakes. When people in your team do silly things, it's still somehow your problem. Learning how to appropriately deal with that reality, and it is a reality, will endear you to your team and make them work harder for you. Help people learn through mistakes. If work needs to be redone or changed, talk to a team member about redoing it instead of patching it up yourself. While it might be quicker to just fix it yourself, it's not going to help people in the long term. In fact, it's only likely to alienate your team, frustrate you, and slow everyone down. Say it, don't write it. Email is a wonderful method for communicating information, but it's absolutely hopeless for communicating emotion and mood. Thus, if you write something that was intended as a constructive criticism, it can very easily be interpreted as a personal attack. There is an easy way to avoid this. Pick up the phone and have a chat. When giving negative feedback, you can use the following structure. Outline the core topic, briefly describe the key area you wish to converse about. Facts. Give specific, current examples or evidence ensuring objectivity. Feelings. Describe your emotions about what's happening. Implications. Clarify what has happened as a result or what will happen if things continue as they are. Contribution. Identify what part you might have played in the way things are or are prepared to play going forward. Evidence your intent. State your firm commitment to specific next steps that you intend to take and why. Response. Invite their response and/or seek their perspective. Keeping in touch with your team is essential, so as a basic starting point, make sure you have all of their contact information. Put it into the one document, hang it on your wall, put it in your phone. There's a template in your worksheets. There are many ways to get information to and from other people. We need to consider what the best method is each time we communicate. In particular, it's important to remember that emails are not a good way to get people to do things, and phone calls are not a good way to give people information. If you want people to think about something, email it. And if you want them to do something, call them. If you want to make a group decision, meet with them. Email is often a major way in which teams communicate, but everyone gets so many emails that it's sometimes easy to lose track. We suggest you give your team some quick and basic rules on using emails. Put people in the to field if you need them to do something. Put people in the CC field if you just want them to read the email. Use the subject line to explain the key point of the email. Use dot points if you've got several things to say. Keep your emails concise and to the point. Bold important points. We've all been to meetings we've loved and meetings that were a waste of time. How do you make sure that you get the most out of meetings? Before the meeting, send invitations to those you need at the meeting, including clear start and end times. Collate and confirm agenda items. Find out who can't make it. At the meeting, start on time. Have a chair who facilitates the meeting. Have a minute taker to take notes. The most important part is writing down action points. What was agreed, who agreed to do it, and by when. There is a template in your worksheets. Follow your agenda. Set the next meeting time and finish on time. After the meeting, send out minutes as soon as you can. Complete action points. Ask others how they have completed their action points. One of the biggest implementation challenges in any project is time management. Projects attract busy people, so it's essential to make the most of every minute. Here's some quick tips. Avoid procrastinating, that is, doing anything but the task you need to do. If something is both urgent and important to your mission, make sure you get it out of the way. Create a to-do list. Once you've listed everything you need to do, immediately do all of those tasks which take less than 2 minutes. Delegation. If something is not very important to your mission or role, maybe you shouldn't be the one doing it at all. It might be better to delegate it to someone else in your team. Get in the mood. Different people work better in different spaces and environments. Think about times when you've been very productive and the space you were in. The music, the noise levels, the amount of light, the temperature, and the people around you. And try and make your workspace like that. Have others hold you accountable. Often we're not very good at holding ourselves to account for our promises and need others to do that for us. Make sure you let your team know by when you'll be completing tasks so you have deadlines. And remember, guilt isn't very productive. If you can't achieve a task within a certain date, it's okay. It's more important that you focus on the next task. Guilt can just make you unhappy and even more unproductive. If getting your project off the ground is hard, making it sustainable so that it can survive into the future is even harder. There is no sure pathway to sustainability, but as a start, avoid taking on too much at the start, because the more successful your project is, the more opportunities will emerge as you go. It will be key for you to learn to say no, so you don't burn yourself out. Partnerships with other organisations can be a great way to tap into resources and go further, especially if you have very similar objectives. But make sure the partnership helps achieve your objectives and doesn't just create a lot of work for you. Try and create a model program that can be easily replicated, copied, by others without substantial involvement from you. An organisation that is built around a simple concept is much easier to sustain than one that goes from project to project. And the idea can even outlast the actual organisation. If you can, avoid projects that require major ongoing costs. It's unfortunately often harder to fundraise to keep something good going than it is to start in the first place. And maybe sustainability isn't your objective anyway. Avoid creating a self-perpetuating organisation. Once you've achieved your mission, think about what you're going to do next, or close it down. So, let's recap. True leadership is about being honest, having vision, and caring for a team. A team is different from a group of people who complete tasks. A team works cooperatively towards a common goal. Take the time to delegate your tasks. Doing it well will make the experience more empowering for the people completing them. Be kind but firm with people who do not meet expectations. Don't confront them in front of the team. Remember that emails are not a good way to get people to do things, and phone calls are not a good way to give people information. A sustainable project takes work, and most importantly, it needs to have an important mission.